time? It is.
You can tell
Well,
we're used to
welcome,
this.
and would you join me in the flag salute? Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, and welcome. Commissioner Cooper has a family emergency, so that's why he's not here tonight. So I'm filling in as vice chair. So we have some consent items, and I'd like to hear a motion for the minutes of the regular meeting of November 6th, 2017, and the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 6th, 2017.
And the financial reports? Yeah, we'll do both.
Financial report, yes.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. It's passed. On to the action items. So I'd like to have a motion for action items A, B, and C. Would you like to read
Want to
those?
do them all at once? I can read them.
Yeah, generally we
Now, payment of GF voucher number 17-382 to 17-408 for $9,053.09. And
Wait a
B,
minute, that's wrong.
huh?
Here,
Have I got the wrong one? Oh,
Yep.
that was, here, I got it.
perfect.
Okay,
Perfect.
payment of GF voucher 17-421 to 17-441. That sound better?
Yep.
For $12,825.72. And B, payment payroll voucher 17-442 through 17-453 for $14,129, can't even read, $129.44, excuse me. Payment of water voucher 1742 to 144 for...
1744.
Oh, mine is wrong.
That's the one with the typo.
Okay, for
Fixed all the others.
$224.54.
Okay, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye? You did make a motion, right?
I did.
Okay.
It was
Thank you.
58 cents, I think, and not 54.
Commissioners' reports. How about you, Del? Do you have anything?
Well, nothing except I've been here temporary for what, 5-6 months, 5 months I guess it is, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I look around at the commissioners that are seated are, I think, some of the finest I've ever worked with, and all of our staff here, including Larry Coppola and Don, can't remember his last name.
Donnie O'Keefe.
Great, it's in good hands, and I hope the next commissioner coming on will do the same and keep it in good hands.
Yeah, that's great.
And anytime, if I'm needed again, I'll do it again.
That's great.
That's about it.
Well, thank you, Del. That was one thing I wanted to bring up too, is thank you for your service. You've been great to work with. And of course, everybody knows that he was a commissioner for 24 years before that, at least 24 years,
Yes.
right?
We done everything by hand, and
Yeah,
we had done everything hands-on too. Commissioners worked.
yeah, well, thank you so much. The only thing I did was just a regular meeting, November 6th, November 15th. I went to just one day of the annual Washington Public Ports meeting because I had business the next 2 days. And then on the 30th, my employees in Barry got more Tyvek donated from Mitchell Lumber, and they finished putting it around the oyster house to protect it further. And Bob Bonnet is the one who has restored the windows so far, and he's gotten, I think, 7 done now, and he's going to continue to do the rest. So wanted to thank him for doing that. And just kind of an FYI, the gentleman who did our district map, who painted the hard copy of that, Leroy Jesfield, he passed away. He was a great community person that's been around here for a very long time, and he'll be greatly missed. Okay, I think it's the executive director's report. Larry.
All right, water system issues. We've provided Northwest Water Systems with everything they've asked for. So at this point, they say they're putting the finishing touches on the packet before submitting. They did notify me that a slight wording change is needed in the section of the manual about newcomer agreements, which I told them to go ahead and make. They also suggested breaking out the revenues and expenses as a percentage of the overall port budget. I responded that with our switch to bias, we'll be able to do that automatically, the same way we will track every other business operation. Excuse me. They also want to schedule a presentation to the commissioners before it's submitted, and I've asked them for a timeline for that. I'll let you know when they notify me both about the presentation date and when the package has been sent to the state. Also, we've been assigned a new case manager from Department of Health. I had a very cordial conversation with her about all this week before last as well. Still haven't heard anything about our water system franchise agreement with Mason County that's up for renewal this year. As I stated last month, Loretta Swanson did say that since there are so many water system franchise agreements up for renewal all at once, they're trying to package them all up or package up all the smaller systems into groups for the county commissioners to approve as one agenda item rather than have an agenda item at the commission meetings for each individual system. I told her we weren't in any hurry if they aren't, just keep us in the loop as to what's happening and when. Already obtained the updated evidence of coverage insurance form from Maduris, and the county's supposed to send us their required form. So until they do, we're good to go. Criminalization of the marina rules. I'm still working with Andrea Bradford, an attorney at Foster Pepper, to finish up the final draft of everything for the Mason County Commissioners. I've given her all the documentation that she requested to prove that we followed all the proper public process. And in a conversation I had with her, she will schedule a meeting to get this on the Commissioner's agenda shortly. 2018 budget, we still haven't received the final revenue numbers for items like timber excise tax and timber tax, but should sometime this month. I also expect some other potential revenue and expense changes. So once we get the final numbers, I'll ask you to approve an amended budget in January. 2018 calendars, they're here. Can we play show and tell with the audience?
Beautiful.
Please take one. As always, the main picture focuses on our dock, and this year it has a fall theme. The main picture is taken by Joyce Bosley from the North Bay Review, and it appeared there. Gazebo pictures one I took. We printed 250 of them, same as last year. Total cost, graphics work and printing, was just over $600, which is what it was last year, and it came out of our advertising and promotional budget. Great. Endurance risk assessment. At last year's WPPA annual meeting, I reached out to Endurus's risk manager, Joe Davis, asked him to come visit, take a tour of our facility so he could do a risk assessment. What I wanted to know is what we can do to minimize any potential claims in the future and to keep our rates as low as possible. He promised to come over and do that, but after several follow-up calls, he never did respond. However, at the annual meeting this year, he buttonholed me and apologized for not getting back in touch. He's scheduled to be here on the afternoon of the 14th. WPPA Marina Committee. As you know, I serve on the WPPA Marina Committee, which is chaired by my friend Guy Glenn, the Executive Director at the Port of Ilwaco. At the annual meeting this year, he asked me if I'd be interested in co-chairing the committee with him. I told him I wanted to think about it, so when he gave his report, said he was looking for a co-chair. We talked the other day, I told him I would do it. He told me Jack Bailey from the Port of Brownsville had also volunteered, but he'd really like me to do it. So he's going to set up a meeting for the three of us sometime in the near future to figure out what's going to happen. BIOS software upgrade, January 1st conversion to BIOS is moving forward. We began the hands-on training in earnest last week. We have another training session scheduled for Wednesday. Comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements. We still need to set a date for a workshop meeting, open house, and public hearings on the plan to gather citizen input. In talking with RCO, they want us to have some documented major public process and outreach, especially about projects we'll be looking to them for grants for before submitting it. We also received a letter from Ken Van Buskirk saying he supports an open public process as well as supports developing a destination sports complex as it fits in with the county's comp plan. Trail project, I haven't heard any more from Pat McCullough of Engineering Services Associates about this. I'm going to put it on the back burner until I do or something happens. Inventory of assets, we finished a complete inventory of all the property and equipment the port owns. All that's left is to put it into categories: furniture, office equipment, tools, hardware, etc. And we're building the list in Excel so it can be updated easily in the future. Skateboard park, I haven't had a lot of time to put into this, but it is still on my radar. Renting out the small office, we're continuing to promote this on Facebook, and I've made the Chamber and EDC aware of it. I've also asked them to promote it as well. The EDC is also putting it in their Zoom prospector database. We've had a few inquiries, including one today, but no bookings yet. Power and water at the Allyn Marina. I finished the capital budget request paperwork for this project this afternoon and submitted it to Representatives Griffey and McEwen. However, as I reported earlier, the request won't go in the 2017 capital budget, which is already set, put on hold for a legislative resolution to the Hearst situation. It will go into the 2018 budget. Sweetwater Park. As I reported last month, I had a conversation with North Mason School District Superintendent Dana Rosenbach. I was prompted by Ken Van Buskirk's email to her, Commissioner Cooper, and several others about an article that appeared in West Sound Home and Garden magazine. In the interest of full disclosure, that magazine is published by my wife and has me listed in the masthead. The article in question mentioned Sweetwater Park and was written by Kerry Bozeman. He is the former mayor of both the cities of Bellevue and Bremerton, former CEO at the Port of Bremerton, and is currently a Port of Bremerton commissioner. No one at the Port of Allyn was contacted for comment for the article, which was primarily an interview with Mindy Harlow from the Salmon Center. However, Ms. Rosenbach told me she spoke with the person handling this at DOE, and he told her since EPA had signed off on the cleanup, they had no heartburn about it. I asked her to get a letter from him stating that and send it to me. I haven't heard anything since that conversation. Wayfinding signs. Commissioner Cooper asked me to coordinate this with Dr. Brian Peterson, who's handling this community project. He's supposed to be here tonight to give us an update. He sent me a text message just a few minutes ago, said that he had an emergency patient. He would be here but be late. Public record software, I met with a potential vendor that believes he may have a potential solution that fits our budget. Met with the vendor again on Thursday, and he brought a programmer with him to nail down exactly what it is we need so they can get us a price. Coder Dojo classes, nothing's going to happen on this till after the first of the year. Spoke with Charles Keating last week. He's back to work now, but focused on the one he and his wife run. He will, however, try and find us the mentors that are required, as well as someone to actually take charge of the program and run it. All we'll have to do is provide the location. Injury at the park. I received a phone call a couple of weeks ago from a Lakeland resident, Robert Supino, saying he had tripped on the sidewalk at the waterfront park and injured himself. Followed it up with a letter requesting reimbursement for his medical expenses. I forwarded that on to Honduras, and they sent me some claim forms for him to fill out, which I forwarded on to him as well. Different launch rates. I attended the last Kitsap All Ports quarterly meeting, and one thing I learned is that several of the ports there are charging an increased launch rate for people who don't live in their port district. Contacted our vendor for the pay station, asked if it'd be possible to program the machine so people had to put in their zip code. If it was one of the two in our district, it would be one rate. If it was from outside the district, it could be a higher rate. Our contact there said he would check with the manufacturer to see if this is possible and what the programming costs would be and get back to me. I didn't hear back, so I followed up last week. Said the manufacturer hasn't gotten back with him, so he's following up, and we'll be in touch when he has answers. He and I talked on Friday. So that's all I have for now.
Okay. Security report. Travis?
Well, as it being winter time, it's still pretty quiet, except for the stormy weather. One of our clients down in the North Shore just about lost his boat. It broke free and was dangling by about a 10-foot tether. I was able to contact him, and he was able to race down there and secure his boat. The same guy has got a boat attached to a buoy out in front of Jessfield's place. There, it's a couple of properties down, and that boat recently sunk. It's just a rowboat. There's no anything else to it. It's just a bare rowboat, so he's aware of that as well. Yesterday, it's not on this month's report, but yesterday I got a call from 911 dispatch about a sunken boat out front of Allyn here. I came down here as soon as I could, and there was no sunken boat, of course. There is a boat that's starting to list out front, that the Scamper, that's been out there for quite some time, a bit of an eyesore. But I was able to provide the officers with the contact information of the owner, and they told me that they would be contacting the Coast Guard about it. We've contacted her several times, the office has anyway, to let her know that, it's taking on water and needs to be addressed. So we've done what we can. Hopefully that will get her moving.
Hope so.
Yeah. Other than that...
We talked to Department of Ecology today. I'll fill you in.
Okay. That's good. That's it. And that's about it, I think.
That's it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis.
You're welcome.
I've been watching that boat out there. It's moving more and more all the time down by the bow. The stern's going up.
And we've talked to her probably half a dozen times. She keeps saying, yeah, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to get out there.
Okay, old business. Well, we'll have to wait on Brian, because Brian was supposed to be here. New business. On here is the discussion of a potential management agreement, and I'm gonna table that because Scott's not here today, so at our next meeting, we'll discuss that. Discussion of the appointment to the Mason Transit Board of Directors. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I forgot about C, which is a special meeting and public hearing for the open house to discuss updates to the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements. So would we like to try to make a date for that?
We can.
Or do you want to, shall I just go ahead and try it, or do you want me to wait until you can get a hold of Scott?
Well, we can set a date and hopefully Scott can make it, but, I hate to commit to something and have to change it.
Yeah.
And have to deal with all the...
Well, let's wait.
I'm trying to think of a polite word for that. But.
Yeah, let's just wait until you can
Okay.
get a hold of Scott and see what his schedule is, and then we can go from there. Is that okay with you, Del?
Yeah, because we'll have to notice the meeting publicly
Yeah.
anyway.
When would it be? I mean, it wouldn't be...
Well, it would be sometime maybe in December. You want to, probably January then, maybe, so,
Well, we've got to have it submitted to RCO by the 1st of March. And we've still got to have, some public process and public hearings about it. So the sooner the better. If we could do it in December, it would be a good thing.
okay.
I can...
Do you want to shoot for next week?
I think the 11th would be
11th.
fine.
yeah.
Okay, then let's do that. The
Yeah.
Nothing
11th?
going on.
Okay.
Okay.
6 p.m., huh?
6 p.m., is that when?
Okay.
All right. So 6 p.m. for our public hearing and open house to discuss the update of the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements. So we'll be getting public input.
I'll try to get a hold of Scott tomorrow and
see if that's gonna work.
Yeah, be sure.
Okay. Sounds great. Okay, appointment to the Mason Transit Board of Directors. Now, did they contact you?
They contacted Scott, actually. It was Terry Drexler that said she'd like to have somebody from here on that board. She was supposed to come to our last meeting and didn't. So I don't know what the status of that is. I could call her and find out. You know, worst comes to worst, we can address it at the meeting on the 11th. But
Does Scott want to do it?
I don't think he does. I would think he was wanting to designate that to Ted.
To Ted? Okay. Well, if not, because I'm with the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization and I do deal with Mason Transit quite a bit, I'll open myself up to that if Ted won't, because I think it'd be good for Ted to do that. And then policy on accepting written comments.
Okay, what that is we've had some discussion with a member of the public about when we put things on the agenda and take them off. And in one of the back and forth emails, I made the comment to him that he was free to submit written comments if he missed the meeting or whatever. But I think we should have a basic policy about that comments or, you know, whatever from the public, input from the public is acceptable up until the date of adoption. I think we just need to adopt a policy stating that. We don't have one now.
Okay.
I mean, we've always accepted everything, but we don't have a formal policy. I think having a formal policy is probably a good idea.
Yeah, it really helps. It has really helped in the past. So are you going to draft one?
Yes.
then? Okay. And maybe at our next meeting that you can
Yes.
have something?
Yes.
That would be excellent.
I'll just do it as a resolution. It'll state that comments submitted on any agenda items up until in between the time they're published and the time it's adopted at the meeting that written commentary is accepted.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
I could probably do that as we're sitting here.
Well, maybe not, because then you get to explain the next one. That's the L&I requirements
Oh,
for
yeah,
payroll.
okay.
Yes.
We've got some new L&I requirements. They want written policies about overtime, Family Medical Leave Act, and some of that kind of
Sick
thing.
pay now. Yeah.
Yep.
January
Yeah,
1st.
and
It's-
there's
that's
some
January.
changes
Yeah.
to payroll that are effective January 1st. We're going to have to adopt those.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the law. They're going to be adopted whether we formally do it or not.
True, but you
But-
do have some options as a small business, like, you know, you have,
Yes.
the port has a few options of how to deal with the overtime. I mean, not
Right.
overtime, but sick pay and stuff like that,
Exactly.
so,
So I think we want to have a formal policy about that as well.
yeah,
So,
okay.
And in that to include what we're paid for paid time off for holidays. Because I have like
Oh,
4.
okay.
I just want it real clear, because April said we need something either in the minutes or in everybody's individual files, and we don't have that. And I'm not wondering if, since Don works every day, if he works an hour or two on one of the holidays, should he get time and a half for that time he works?
Right, we did come up with
An average
do.
amount, yeah.
The office rental, I saw that you've been, I don't know if I should bring this up right now, but I think I will, you know, that we've been charging 25 an hour, but I see that it was wise to try to change it. But I think just as a good practice, I'd like to change that lower to, what was it?
$25 for the first 2 hours.
2 hours.
$45 for a half day, $75 for all day.
Okay, so, which was lower than
Yes.
what we had before, so I'd like to make a motion to
I'll have
change
to make
those.
that motion.
Oh, yeah, thank you, I'm sorry, I can't, thank you.
You wanna-
That's why you're there.
I'll take your wording and I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So there we go, at least that's for the record. Yep.
Oh, another backtrack. Do we need a motion for that comprehensive scheme harbor improvement? That's another meeting. We should note that we're having an extra meeting, and of course it should be posted and everything.
Yeah.
Right, that's
it
the
will be
meeting on the
posted.
11th that we want to double check with Scott about tomorrow.
It's a tentative.
It's
Yeah,
a tentative meeting,
tentative,
so,
right.
well, we need to make we can always change that meeting, but we need to make the motion that it is tentative. We
Okay.
have
Okay,
one.
go ahead.
And I'll make a motion that we set up a tentative meeting for our comprehensive scheme for harbor improvement.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And
On
that's
December 11th.
December 11th.
December 11th, yeah.
I'll second that, all in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye, so moved. Okay, I think we've gone through that. Next would be public comment, since I don't see Brian here yet. Any public comment? Hey, Jeff.
Two things, I'm not there yet. Capital improvements, timeline type thing.
Okay.
And then the water plant. Still haven't done. Don't have to think about
We're getting close on the water
No, I
plant.
understand, it's not you, it's them, I understand. So,
We're closer than we've ever been.
I know the feeling, so.
Great.
But anyway, so that,
Okay, thank you, Jeff. How about you, Kay? Anything?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment about the transit.
Mhm.
What they want to do is get more of the entities within the area on their board. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. They need to announce our district.
Are you guys going to appoint somebody?
Well, her probably
Okay.
hasn't committed yet.
Well, I think it's good. They do a great job,
They do.
you know.
They just want to have, like other entities have done, included people in their membership.
Oh,
Have a good coverage.
speaking of transportation, I'm sorry, one more thing. Next week is going to be a Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization meeting, but they're going to actually demonstrate this model program. You remember me explaining last time that they have a model of, I can't remember the name of it now already, that's terrible, but it takes all the data and all of the information from the 4 counties of the roads, the demographics of it, the jobs, and all this information is going to be available to governmental agencies or other agencies out there, and they're going to actually do a demonstration at the PRTPO. So I'm going to try to bring that back and let everybody know how it works, and maybe not in detail, but it will be available for everybody. And PRTPO is the one that granted the monies for this program.
I just wanted to put a comment. You were talking about the zip code and your parking use of it. My thought was, a lot of people own property out there, and maybe use your facility. Because they're, say, their zip code in Seattle, they own property out there, would they be complaining that theirs was not saying that how you got their property?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's just a
I'm sure
question.
somebody will. You know?
Like that, no. And I just know a lot of people that
Right.
come out here just for the summer or
That's it.
weekends or whatever, and they might resent the fact that they should pay more, even though they own property out there.
Well, I think what we need to do first is find out if they can even program the machine to do that,
Yeah.
and then cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, if they can't program the machine to do that, it's kind of a moot point.
It was just something I thought.
But,
was-
something to think about, something we hadn't considered. What the Kits Out ports do is, that's how they do it. If you are not in their port district, you pay more.
Whether you own property or not.
Yeah. So I was trying to figure out how to discern if people are in our port district or not, and that was the only way I could come up with.
Yeah, Manchester had been doing that for quite a while,
Yeah,
and it seemed to
I
really
live in the
help.
Port of Manchester district, and,
Oh, correct.
you know, that's how I found out about it. Now I get to pay less.
Not gonna pay it off.
Well, anybody else
Somebody
for,
just drove in.
oh, they did?
Yeah, I don't know if
Okay.
they're just turning around or if that's maybe Brian.
Yeah, I just texted Brian and said, we're getting close to adjourn, are you almost here? And haven't heard back.
Okay. Because we
Call in.
pretty much have,
Call in, yeah.
we pretty much
Just
have
for the
finished
record, I
business.
texted him on the port phone. I did have a question.
Yes.
Some time back, you all had told me you wanted me to become more involved in the community, and I told you I had been approached about joining Rotary, and I asked if the port would pay my Rotary dues, and you all said yes. I wanted to reconfirm you'll still do that, because I am going to go ahead and join.
Oh, sure. That's what we said, but can't vote on it unless
No,
you
we-
want to vote on it now.
Well, I can make the motion that we
Okay.
pay for the Rotary dues.
Okay.
Does he belong to the chamber too?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do, so. Go ahead. Oh, did you make a
Whoever
motion?
made it, yeah.
Okay,
We paid
and I
it.
second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So moved. There we go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're in there.
Rotary's great here. I really enjoyed it.
I was a Rotarian in Port Orchard for almost 30 years. I served on the board several times and was the Rotary International Centennial Year Club President.
Oh, wow.
So,
Well, I was,
Why don't you name the Johnny Lions? I mean, there's all sorts of things to do.
I was a Rotarian for quite a while. They started it when I ran the restaurant, and they started it there, and
well, I was actually at the first meeting, I forget what it's called now. I'm drawing a blank.
the charter.
Yeah, the
Okay.
charter meeting, when they had the first meeting and chartered
here?
the club. I was at that
You
meeting.
were, at the cafe then?
Yeah.
Oh,
Frank Haverlack
Yeah.
was from our club. He was,
great.
so.
Well, apparently that was not Brian. Okay. Well, I think we've gotten our business done, so
I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second it. So moved. And Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you for being here.
I
Thank
will
you.
text Brian and tell him never mind.